Hello guys and welcome to my new video. The new set Fabled will be released in about a week and I already cooked up 9 new, fresh and spicy decks to try out week 1. Have fun, let's go! I will start off with the favorite deck from the recent sets. Blurple is my actually my all-time favorite, and yeah, we lost quite a few cards from rotation. We lost Popsicle, Friends on the other side, hence we lost the 3-drop Bell, which you can cheat out with sacrificing an item. We lost the Bounce package, we lost Goat, and that's it basically. The core, or a big chunk of the core, stayed the same in Blurple. We still have our Tipo and Sail for turn 2 ramp. We have 5-cost Elsa, we have Hades, and we have some draw options with Genie and Finders Keepers. And yeah, I took my set 8 championship deck, which I made 2nd place in set championship last set, and added some new spice and also some new cards to like tackle the expected meta decks we are facing in the beginning of the new set. So as a 1-drop character, I added 4 copies of Rafiki. He has Challenger +3, so you can make early trade with him. Of course, we have our turn 2 ramp with Tipo and Sail. We have also Genie. We have still 3 copies of Iago, even though he gets a lot of hate in the set because there's a lot of evasive tag, challenge tag, so Iago doesn't have an easy stand right now. I still have the 5-cost Bell, the 5-cost Elsa in my deck. I ramped up the numbers of the 6-cost Dual Ink Anna, which synergizes very well with Elsa. Of course, I run 4 copies of Hades. And since I expect a lot of aggro-ish decks, I also have 1 copy of Big Elsa in my deck to shift her on the 5-cost. And I also still have 2 copies of Monster in the deck for some aggro board wipes. If possible, if we have enough hand cards, we can re-ready him multiple times in a turn. Additionally, I also have the 4-cost Scrooge McDuck to bring out in turn 3 and tackle aggro-ish characters and aggro boards. And for some new spice, I added 4 copies of the new legendary Dumbo. He's a 4-cost inkable character, 3 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 1. He has evasive and he has 2 abilities. You can pay 1, exert him to gain 1 lore and draw a card, and all your other characters with evasive get the same ability. So all your Genies, all your Iagos and your 5-cost Elsas have this ability, so if you run out of hand cards, you can easily refresh your hand cards with Dumbo's ability and use your other evasive characters, which you have 11 of in this deck. And as another sort of removal, I have 4 copies of the Dual Link card Into the Unknown. You can put an exerted opponent's character into its inkwell face down and exerted, so it functions as sort of removal against Tiana decks, which are very popular right now, I think. And yeah, I think the base and the core of the Blurple deck is still strong. I think it will be one of the top 5 decks in the set 9 meta, at least at the beginning. I think most of the players, or all of them, will be on Blurple. This is my idea of the deck, how to start, where to start with that 9 deck building. If you like the idea of Blurple, you will find all of my decks from this video in the video description below. And yeah, we jump to the next deck I built for you. The second deck I want to show you today is my take on a Ruby Steel build, and it's not a challenge focused build, it's a singer build. I just slammed in all of the new Ruby singer cards like Powerline, Max Goof, and of course the new Floodborn Powerline. I also added 18 different songs to synergize well with Maui Shark. We also have the recently reprinted Ruby Ariel, which has evasive, and whenever you play a song, you can give another character of yours evasive. And I run 2 copies of the Steel Ariel which can be shifted on the small one for more damage output if you play a song. If you know my videos, if you know my type of deck building style, I always aim for consistency first in the beginning and then start taking cards in, or like adding new cards or reducing the number of cards. So I run 4-offs in most of the cards in the deck. Only with the songs, I'm unsure about the numbers right now. I have 4 copies of Strength of the Raging Fire, 3 copies of Be King Undisputed, 3 copies of A Pirate's Life, 3 also from Beyond the Horizon, and 3 copies of the new Ruby song Eye to Eye, where you can draw 2 cards, gain 2 lore, and also your opponent does so. If you need to challenge the board or your opponent's characters, I still run 4 copies of the Dual Link Mushu, which gives you 2 lore for each character you banished in a challenge. And as a main, or the only card draw engine you run in this deck, is Dog. 4 copies. Of course, I think in every steel deck, Dog is the strongest card draw option you have right now. I think this is probably the biggest weakness of this deck, also to tackle like aggro-ish decks, but I think you need to like follow your game plan first, and after a couple of games or like a couple of weeks, you can adjust to the decks you're facing in your local meta. I think this is a cool idea to build Ruby Steel in set 9, because we got so many Ruby Singer characters and we have plenty of cool songs to use in this deck build. Of course, you will find the deck list in the video description below, and we go on to the next deck. Some people say this color combo is dead in set 9. I think you should definitely give it a try, because you have such an advantage against most of the other decks, because you have such a huge amount of evasive creatures. In this build, I run no less than 32 evasive characters, starting from Pegasus 1-drop, Diablo 2-drop, we have Gogo Tomago, the new Dumbo, the new legendary Dumbo, we run the Draw Genie, we run the Cricket Genie, the new green one, which gives all your other characters +2 strength when he's exerted, and of course the 5-cost Elsa, which is an awesome after and follow-up play after the green Genie, because you can boost her up to 4-5, exert the character, and easily take out almost any character on the opposing board. And also we have a lot of 2 lore questers with the Merfolk, with Banzai, the both of the genies, and the 5-cost Bell, which can also move damage. And I think card draw is never an issue with this sort of deck, because you have so many evasive characters. You can use Dumbo's ability almost every turn. We also have Pull the Lever for more card draw, and I think this deck, even though some say it's dead, I think it has a very good stand in this meta, in the early meta, because it can go very wide very quickly. We have a lot of low-cost characters. You can spam the board with all those 1-drop and 2-drop characters and quest out easily. And to finish off the game, we have 4 copies of Gogo Tomago. You can like put damage on an opposing character and then cheat out a lot of lore with Gogo Tomago. I think you should definitely give this list a try, because green purple evasive is a lot of fun. I already tried it online a couple times, and there are some nice playlines you should try and find out yourself. But I think the Genie and Elsa combo is awesome, and yeah, like kills almost any character on the opposing board. Enough said, the list is in the video description, and we go on to the next deck. This deck probably got hit the hardest by rotation. Amber Steel lost so many cards like 1-drop Cindy, Let the Storm Rage On, Zeus, Ariel, and many more cards to be functional in the way we knew it. So Amber Steel has to go new ways, and I tried it with this build. It's a low to the ground aggro build, which can quest out the game really quickly, and there are some really cool playlands also. For example, you start the game with the new 1-drop Aurora. When she quests, you can play a princess character with 1 in class. In turn 2, you can follow up with the legendary Tiana, where she quests for 2. And when she is exerted, your opponent has to pay 3 ink, otherwise his challenging characters get -3 strength. And in turn 3, you can follow up with the dueling Bolt. He quests for 4 lore, comes into play exerted, but that doesn't matter because due to Tiana's ability, he most likely or very likely survives this turn, and by turn 4 you already at 10 lore and can start protecting your board with Pluto Bodyguard, for example. For card draw, we have Dog, and to find Dog more consistently, I added 4 copies of Be Our Guest as removal option. Damage wise, we have Strength of a Raging Fire, but we also ran 4 copies of Calhoun. And to finish off the game quickly, we have a lot of Tula quests like Daisy, Lilo, Penny, the Lady, the Shift Reno. And since we are in a challenge heavy meta and challenging matters finally, and we don't have so many removal options, I added 4 copies of Snow White to the deck. It's a 4-cost inkable character, 2 strength, 2 willpower, quests for 2, and this character can't be challenged. So your opponent has to have some sort of removal to get rid of Snow White, otherwise she will quest for a bunch of lore and probably you will win the game. I don't know. In testing so far, there are some ridiculous playlines cheating out cheap characters with Lady, or the playline I mentioned earlier with Aurora, Tiana, and dueling Bolt. I think card draw can be an issue sometimes because if you don't find Dog, but therefore you have Be Our Guest. I think this is a very cool deck you should try out if you like Ember Steel. This is a week 1 build, and I probably think this build will adjust to the decks we are facing in the meta. You will find the link to the deck in the video description below. And we look to the next deck I built for you. This is my first and initial build for Amber Ruby Singer deck. Amber had the best singers in the whole game. They're gone now, but now we have the Ruby Singers with Powerline. I slammed all the good singers from the new set Fabled into the deck. And of course some other good cards like Maui Half Shark or the legendary Lilo from set 8, which you can play for free if you play 3 actions in this turn. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this deck is probably gonna struggle against more aggro-ish decks because its concept is more mid-range or end-game based, but I think if you can build up your board, protect it with the Dual Ink Minnie Mouse as a bodyguard, establish some singers, you can constantly find your songs, you can constantly sing songs, get them back with Maui Shark, and profit from playing free cards from your discard or getting them back, playing free songs with Powerline. And with the strong song package with Be King, Undisputed, Pirate's Life, Look at This Family, Eye to Eye, and 2 copies of Circle of Life, you have a very strong song package you can reuse multiple times with Maui Shark. And for card draw, we also have 4 copies of Stitch Surfer, a legendary card from set 1. I think overall this deck can be really good. I think it needs some fine tuning. This is my first idea. If you like it, look at the video description, there you find the link, and we jump to the next deck. Lemon Lime Doggos are back, and they got a huge boost last set, but with so many removal songs, they like fell behind of all of the other meta decks, but right now they're in a good spot and they can do really nasty things. In my build, it's more a turbo focused build. You can play half of the deck with 1 or 2 ink. We have a lot of 1-drops. The newest addition is Bobby. He's basically green Mulan. You can draw a card, discard 1 from your hand to find that card you need to filter through your hand cards and get like maybe a Lilo in the discard pile so you can play her later from the discard. We have some evasive characters like Gogo Tomago or Perla to deal with evasive characters. For card draw, we have both of the big tramp cards in the deck, and since there isn't much removal in this set and in this meta, we can start to go wide and drop a lot of characters on the board, and therefore we are high on the 5-cost uninkable lady. You can shift her on a smaller lady and get 2 characters with 1 or 2 costs back to your hand. This is really strong to go wide, build up a huge board, and then just quest with all of our 2 lore questers and finish up the game. I think overall this deck can be one of the top 5 contenders. Still, it's my first and initial build, my first idea of the deck, and I think this list will develop over time and adjust to the decks we will see in the meta. If you like my idea, my starting point for Turbo Doggo Sour Lemon Lime, look at the video description. There you find the link to my build, and we jump to the next deck I want to show you. Last set, this was one of my most popular decks, rather fun decks though. I tried to go a similar way in set 9, a low to the ground build with lots of 2 lore questers and lots of heroes. I still try to make a deck work with the 4-cost Anno, which gives all of the hero characters +1 lore if she quests. In this deck we have a lot of 2 lore quests like Daisy, Lilo, the small Anna, Lady, Alice. They're all heroes. Also Thunderbolt and Baymax, they are heroes and already quest for 2. So if we can manage to establish a wide board, stick Anna for 1 turn, since there is not much removal, I think this is doable, so we can close the game turn 5 or 6. What this deck lacks is card draw. We have Julieta Madrigal, 3 copies of her. She can heal up a character and then you draw 1 card, and we have Be Our Guest to find those characters we need in hand right now. For removal, I run 3 copies of World's Greatest Criminal Minds to get rid of some sharks or other bigger creatures. And yeah, I really like the deck. This deck is fun, this deck is speedy, and if you like such decks, you find the link in the video description below, and we jump to the next deck. Probably one of my favorite color combinations of all time, Ruby Sapphire. I started playing in set 2, and through set 5 I competed in several set championships with this color combination and had pretty success. Let's have a look at the list I built together for set 9. It's also focused on singers and actions. You have the whole singer package from Ruby, the new Max Goof power line. Of course, one centric card is Maui Half Shark. We have a bunch of actions and songs. I run 4-offs of everything. We have Develop Your Brain, Sail the Azure at Sea, Vision of Future. For removal, we have Be King Undisputed. For some ramp, we have All Is Found, we have Pirate's Life, and we have the new card Eye to Eye, which is lore gain and card draw. And what I really like in this deck is Down in New Orleans, because paired with the new Powerline Singer, you can sing it in turn 4, play a card for free, maybe Maui Shark, and with Powerline's ability you can then play another song for free maybe. And if you manage to like play 3 actions in 1 turn, you can cheat out a Lilo quest for 2 then. And with all those actions in your discard pile, you can manage to retrieve him with Maui Shark and gain them back. We have quite a few cards for removal as well. 4 copies of Hades and 4 copies of Be King Undisputed. And that's basically it. So of course this deck struggles against like aggro-ish builds, but if you manage to make it like to turn 5, 6 or 7, build up enough ink and manage to stick some singers on board, you can dig through your deck with Visions of Future, Develop Your Brain, or Eye to Eye, draw enough cards, get those cards in hand you need, and then win the game from this point on. I really like the deck. I played a couple of games online already, and I might sleeve red blue back in set 9. If you want to build it, you find the link to the deck in the video description below. And we made it to the final deck. Let's have a look what I built together for you. I wanted to finish off strong, and this is probably my favorite deck of all time, Purple Steel. And I think this is probably the top 3 deck in the meta, at least at the beginning. And I built a rather mid-range deck for you. Let's quickly go through all my card choices. At the 1-drop characters, I run Captain Hook, Diablo, and the Palace Guard. Palace Guard is an awesome pick against blue decks. You can easily get 3 or 4 lore against most of the blue decks out there. For additional card draw, we have 4 copies of Cusco, and of course I really have to say the card draw engine in Steel is Dog. And I squeezed in 4 copies of the new Steel Nala. She's a 2-cost uninkable character, a 0/2, quests for 2, and when she has no damage, she gets additional 1 lore and resist +1. For some reach, I have 4 copies of the Giant Cobra and 4 copies of the White Rose. For some evasive tech, I run 3 copies of Genie from set 8 and 3 copies of Yelena. She gives other characters plus Challenger, so you can like boost your Diablo, boost your Cusco for additional card draw and take out an opposing character. I wanted to try out the new Steel Lilo. I have 4 copies of her in the deck. When you play her, your other characters gain +2 Challenger, so she might not be a turn 3 play, but you can boost up your other characters to make them even stronger. Take out stronger characters. For some card draw, we have a couple options. We have also Dolores Madrigal in the deck. She's a 4-drop character, inkable. She quests for 2, 3/3 body, and when your opponent has an exerted character on board, you draw a card. Of course, we have 4 copies of Genie, and I squeezed in 2 copies of Yzma, the legendary one from set 6. She's a 4-cost inkable character. She quests for 2, and she has an exert ability. When you have less than 3 cards in hand, you drop until you have 3 cards in your hand. And of course, last but not least, 5-cost Elsa. She's a absolute staple in most or in all of the purple decks. And my only removal song is Strength of a Raging Fire, 4 copies of it, singable song. I really like the deck. It's fast. It can be fast, and but I tried to build a rather more mid-range control-y version of Purple Steel. I like it so far in testing, and it will be one of my day 1 decks I will sleeve in and bring to my local game store. You also find this list in the video description below. I hope you like the deck and have fun building all my decks. And yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. There are some color combinations missing, but I will deliver more decks next week when set 9 Fabled finally comes out, so you can build even more decks in week 1 for your local gameplay in your store. Thanks for watching. I'm always happy about new subscribers, so if you like such deck videos and if you like my builds, just hit subscribe, leave a like on the video, and comment which deck is your favorite. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Flocky.